Okay, I'm going to work some of these problems now. These problems may take longer than they did in class because they may be taught a bit differently than when you saw in class, but you were taught this form. I'm going to do this just so you can see some consistency in the problems. That way maybe if you didn't understand it, at least you'll see the consistency. Now I may go a little bit fast, but remember you can always pause it and go at your own pace. This first problem comes from section 4.4 if you need to go back and go over it. I'm going to take this first term x and multiply it by the entire parentheses x minus 5. So x times x minus 5. And I'm going to take this negative 6 and multiply it by the entire parentheses x minus 5. I'm going to take the x and distribute it to each inside the parentheses. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. Take this negative 6, distribute it to the parentheses. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times negative 5, positive 30. At this point, I'm going to combine like terms, my two x's. So I have x squared, negative 5x, negative 6x makes negative 11x, and I still have a positive 30. That's my answer. For number 2, this comes from section 4.3. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this first term, negative 5x squared, and distribute it to the entire parentheses. 8x squared minus 7x minus 9. Take the second term, positive 6x, and distribute it to the entire parentheses. 8x squared minus 7x minus 9. And then I'll take the third term, negative 8, and distribute it to the entire parentheses. Negative 8 times 8x squared minus 7x minus 9, close parentheses. Okay, so I took each term and distributed it to the parentheses, the second parentheses, or the second trinomial. Now, from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this negative 5x squared and distribute it to each one in the parentheses. So negative 5x squared times 8x squared is negative 40x to the fourth. Negative 5x times negative 7x is positive 35x cubed. Negative 5x squared times negative 9 is positive 45x squared. Moving on to the second one. 6x times 8x squared, positive 48x cubed. 6x times negative 7x, negative 42x squared. 6x times negative 9, negative 54x. Now moving on to the third one, negative 8 times 8x squared is negative 64x squared. Negative 8 times negative 7x is positive 56x. And negative 8 times negative 9 is positive 72. Okay, at this point, we're going to look at the entire thing and combine like terms. So we don't have another x to the fourth, so I'm going to write that down. Negative 40x to the fourth. Then I'm going to move on to the cubes. There's a 35x cubed. There is a 48x cubed. And I think that's the only x cubes there are. So we're going to combine 35 and 48. When you do that, you get positive 83x cubed. Now I'm going to go to the x squares. I have a 45x squared here. I have a negative 42x squared there. And I have a negative 64x squared there. Combine all of those and you get negative 61x squared. And then I'm going to look at my x's. I have a negative 54x there. And I have a positive 56x there. When I combine those, I get positive 2x. And finally, I look to see what else I have, and I still have a positive 72 left. And that is my answer. Okay, number 3, negative 2a to the 5th power to the 4th power. This comes from section 4.1. You have to take the negative 2 and distribute this 4 to each one. So that's like saying negative 2 to the 4th. And then that's saying a to the 5 times 4th power. When you do that, you end up with negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 16. And 5 times 4, that makes a to the 20th. Okay. On the next page, number 4, this comes from section 4.1. Okay, that comes from section 4.1. Now, for this problem, we just multiply negative 4 times 4, which is negative 16. X to the 5th times x is x to the 6th. Y to the 3rd times y to the 3rd is y to the 6th. Okay, so we're just multiplying everything together. Remember, you add exponents when you multiply. Okay, number 5. And this comes from section 4.2. This one you're supposed to leave in exponent form. So when you convert this to a exponent, you get 1.6 times 10 to the 5th. When you convert this to an exponential form, you get 3.0 times 10 to the negative 4. Then on bottom, you end up with 1.6 times 10 to the 3rd. Remember, this is all moving the decimal places. I didn't think anybody had any issues getting to this point. And this one's going negative 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's going positive 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you put this in, you have 1.6 times 3.0, that's 4.8 times 10 to the 1st, divided by your 1.6 times 10 to the 3rd. Now, if you did your exponent rules, 1 minus 3, or down here, 3 minus 1, you would end up with a negative 2. But with these, you don't write them in that format of being at the bottom. So it would be 3.0 times 10 to the negative 2. Now if you entered this into your calculator, you would get this answer also. Number 6 is from 4.5. Okay, now this is our equation. You have, x squared, or a squared. Let me rephrase that. Here's my eraser. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, so you take this first one, 3 over 5. This is my a, this is my b. So I take 3 over 5 x, and I square that. And then I take plus 2 times my a, which is 3 over 5x, times my b, which is 1 over 6, plus my b square, 1 over 6 square. Okay, so now if I take 3/5 x squared, that's saying the same thing as 3 over 5 times 3 over 5. So that's going to give us 9 over 25x squared. Plus, I'm going to multiply across here. This is saying 2 over 1. So 2 times 3 is 6, times 1 is 6. So I have a 6 on top. And on the bottom, I have 1 times 5 times 6, which is 30, and I have this x here. And over here, 1/6 times 1/6 is going to be 1 over 36. Okay, now I'm going to reduce this. So I have 9 over 25x squared. I can divide the top and bottom by 6. When I do that, I get 1/5 x plus 1 over 36. Box that in. Okay, now again, you don't have to solve that in this manner. You can always rewrite it as 3/5 x plus 1 over 6 times 3/5 x plus 1 over 6. And you can solve it just how we solved number 1 and 2, where you take this one, multiply it by the entire parentheses, take this one, multiply it by the entire parentheses, and distribute. Eventually you'll get the exact same answer. Okay, number 7 is 4.5. Okay, number 7, we're going to start off by multiplying these first two. So I'm going to take this 4x and distribute it to the parentheses. So 4x, well, I'm going to write the parentheses first. X minus 4, just like number 1 and 2. And that's going to be plus 3 times the entire parentheses, x minus 4. I'm going to take this 4x and distribute it to each. So that gives me 4x squared times 4x squared minus, sorry, I was looking at something else. So 4x squared minus 16x plus 3x minus 12. Okay, from there I'm going to combine these two terms here. When I do that, I get 4x squared, and we have a negative 16 and a positive 3, so that's negative 16, 15, 14, 13, negative 13x minus 12. Okay, I'm sorry. So that's when I multiply the first two. After I multiply those first two, I still have this one that I need to multiply it by, 2x plus 1. Okay, now from here, I'm going to take this first term and multiply it by this parentheses. Second term, multiply it by that parentheses. Third term, multiply it by the parentheses. So first term, 4x squared times this parentheses over here, 2x plus 1, minus the second term, 13x, times the parentheses, 2x plus 1, minus 12, that's the third term, times the parentheses, 2x plus 1. Okay, from there I'm going to take this 4x squared and distribute it inside. So we got 4x times 2x is 8x cubed. 4x squared times 1 is positive 4x squared. And I think I said that one wrong earlier, but I wrote it correctly. Negative 13x times 2x is negative 26x squared. Negative 13x times 1 is negative 13x. Negative 12 times 2x, negative 24x. Negative 12 times 1, negative 12. Okay, after we distribute everything, we combine like terms. This first one, there's no other x cubed, 8x cubed, or x cubed. So we write 8x cubed. We have a square here and a square here. If we combine these two, 26x squared, negative 26x squared, and positive 4x, that gives us negative 22x squared. Then we have two x's here. We have a negative 13 and a negative 24. You combine those and you get negative 37x, and you still have a negative 12. So this is your answer here. That's number 7. Okay, number 8, this comes from 4.3. We have to distribute this negative sign to each. So I'm going to start off by rewriting it. We have 2/5 x squared minus 1/2 x plus 5. Now notice this is not multiplication. Okay, this is like a -1 being distributed to each one. So -1 times 1/3 x is going to be minus 1/3 x squared. -1 times -3/7 is going to be positive 3/7 x. And -1 times -6 is going to be positive 6. Okay, from there we have to combine like terms. Here's an x squared, here's an x squared. So I need to do 2/5 x squared minus 1/3 x squared. So I'm going to come over here and write it out. So I'm going to write down 2/5 and -1/3 because I have to have a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this one by 3 top and bottom and this one by 5 top and bottom. When I do that, I get 6/15 minus 5/15. So when I do 6 6/15 minus 5/15, I get 1/15. So now when I combine these two like terms, I get 1/15 x squared. Now I'm going to go back. Here's an x here, -1/2 x. Here's an x here, positive 3/7 x. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to rewrite it. I need a -1/2 and a positive 3/7. I'm going to multiply the bottom here by 7, top by 7. For this one, I'm going to multiply the top by 2, multiply the top by 2. When I do that, I get -7/14 plus 6/14. -7/14 plus 6/14 equals -1/14. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to write -1/14x. And then the last one to combine is a positive 5 and a positive 6, which is positive 11. So we got 1/15 x squared minus 1/14 x plus 11. Okay, number 9 comes from 4.2. Okay, so I'm going to write 1 over, and I'm going to distribute this -2 to each one. So I have 4 to the -2. X to the -3 times the -2. Y to the 2 times -2. So I distributed this -2. Remember, you multiply when it's outside that parentheses. So this gives me 1 over 4 to the -2, x to the positive 6, y to the -4. Now I'm going to do all the swapping. I'm sorry, it's right here. 1 over 4 to the -2, x to the positive 6, y to the -4. Okay, now I'm going to swap them. When I swap them, this 4 to the -2 is going to go to the top, become 4 squared. This x to the 6 is going to stay at the bottom. And this y to the -4 is going to go to the top. Okay, so when I simplify that, 4 times 4 is 16, y to the 4th over x to the 6th. And that's as far as you can go. Okay, number 10. Number 10 is 4.1. Now, 9 over 18, 9 over 3. Now, you can always, of course, enter this into your calculator, but if you don't really understand this, because I saw some people put 1, that's like writing 9 18 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And this is just for your understanding purposes. 9, 3. Because really, you're supposed to subtract these. When you subtract these, you get 9, base 9, 18 minus 3. And that becomes 9 to the 15th. If you don't remember that, remember that this is like saying 9 to the 18 times 9 3 times. So if I cancel, I'm left with 15 nines, I'm left with 15 nines, which is 9 to the 15. Okay, but remember this is the rule, 18 minus 3. They have the same base. Okay, number 11. This comes from section 4.1. Okay, I'm going to look at these right here. I'm going to reduce the 18 and the 24. 18 and 24, 6 can come out of that, which leaves us 3 over 4. Now I have a to the 7th, a to the 6th. That's saying 7 minus 6, which is 1. So that's like a to the 1. And now I have b to the 4, b to the 4, b4, b4. That becomes 1. b4 divided by b4. 4 minus 4 is 1. That's b1. And c to the 0, remember anything to the 0 is 1. So if I were to multiply 1 times 3a, it'd still be 3a. So we got 3/4 A for number 11. Okay, number 12. Number 12 comes from section 4.2. Okay, on number 12, I'm just going to move them around. X to the negative 4 has to go to the bottom, becomes x to the 4th. Y to the negative 5 goes to the bottom, becomes y to the 5th. And z squared is positive, so it stays at the top. That's all you can do there. Number 13, 4.4. Okay, I'm going to work this out the longer way. I'm going to take this first one, 4x, and multiply it by the entire parentheses, 5x minus 2. I'm going to take the second term, negative 3, and multiply it by the entire parentheses, 5x minus 2. Okay, now I'm going to distribute 4x times 5x, that's 20x squared. 4x times negative 2, negative 8x. Take the negative 3, distribute it to the 5x, that becomes negative 15x. Negative 3 times negative 6, negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. I'm going to combine like terms, these two in the middle. When I do that, I get 20x squared. Negative 8x and negative 15x gives us negative 23x with positive 6 left. Okay, number 14, that comes from section 4.5. I'm going to do this the long way, or the way that I know you're supposed to do this. You take 2x, distribute it to the entire parentheses. So 2x times 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus 3x minus 1. Take the second term, 5, and multiply it by the entire parentheses. 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus 3x minus 1. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this first part and distribute the 2x over. 2x times 2x cubed gives me 4x to the 4th. 2x times negative 5x squared gives us negative 10x squared. 2x times negative 3 gives us negative 6x. 2x times negative 3x gives us negative 6x squared. 2x times negative 1 gives us negative 2x. Then I have the 5. 5 times 2x cubed gives us positive 10x cubed. 5 times negative 5x squared gives us negative 25x squared. 5 times negative 3x gives us negative 15x. And 5 times negative 1 gives us negative 5. Time to combine like terms. So I'm looking at these. I only have 1x to the 4th. So I have 4x to the 4th. I'm going to look to see what other degree I have that's less than 4, which is x cubed. So that gives us, let's see, positive 10x cubed. Over here, I'm sorry, that was a mistake. This was supposed to say negative 10x cubed. If you notice, that's 2x times negative 5x squared. That's negative 10x cubed. So we have a negative 10x cubed and a positive 10x cubed. Those are going to end up canceling because negative 10, positive 10, that's 0. Then we have x squared here. So negative 6x squared, negative 25x squared. That gives us negative 31x squared. I have a negative 2x here and a negative 15x here. If I combine those two, I get negative 17x, and I still have a negative 5. So that leaves me with 4x to the 4th minus 31x squared minus 17x minus 5. Okay, number 15 comes from 4.2. I'm going to take this negative 3 and distribute it to each. So that's 3 to the negative 3. X to the 4 times negative 3. Y to the negative 2 times negative 3. Over 2, I'm distributing the negative 2 to the negative 2. X to the 3rd times negative 2. Y to the 2 times negative 2. Now I'm going to work this part out. So I have, 3 to the negative 3, x to the negative 12, y to the positive 6, over 2 to the negative 2, x to the negative 6, and y to the negative 4. Now it's time to do some flipping. I'm going to take these negatives, move to the bottom, these negatives move to the top. So I'm going to start with this first one. This is 3 to the negative 3. So I'm going to move that to the bottom. That's going to become 3 cubed. Then I have x to the negative 12. That's going to go to the bottom. X to the positive 12. Y to the 6 stays at the top. Now I'm going to work with the bottom. 2 to the negative 2, that's going to go to the top. 2 to the 2. X to the negative 6, that's going to go to the top. X to the 6. Y to the negative 4, that's going to go to the top. Y to the 4. Okay, now I'm going to simplify from there. I have a y to the 6 at the top and a y to the 4 at the top. That becomes y to the 10th when you add them. I have 2 times 2, which is 4. And I still have the x to the 6 at the top. Now down here I have 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. And then I have x to the 12. Now from there, I can do x12 minus 6. Because remember, when the bigger number is at the bottom, you subtract at the bottom. So when you do that, you get 4y to the 10 over 27x to the 6. Okay, number 16 comes from 4.2. I convert this to scientific notation. I move it over 1, 2, 3. So that becomes 6.5 times 10 to the negative 3. This one I'm going to move over 7 times. So that becomes 3.0 times 10 to the negative 7. And this one I'm going to move over 1, 2, 3. So that's 4.0 times 10 to the negative 3. Now if I multiply 6.5 times 3 times 4, I get 78. Oh, if I multiply all of these, I get 78 times 10 to the negative 13. Now I can't leave it in this form because it's scientific notation. I have to move the decimal over 1 place. When I move it 1 place to the left, that becomes 7.8 times 10 to the negative 12. Okay. Okay, 17 is a negative sign there. Notice they're not being multiplied. This is like saying -1 and distributing it to each. So I'm going to rewrite it. 1.7x to the 4th minus 2.7x cubed plus 6.7x. Now this negative is going to distribute, so that's going to be minus x to the fourth plus 7.2x squared minus 4.5x. Now before I continue, I want to say that this is 4.3. Okay, from here I'm going to combine like terms. So I have a 1.7x to the fourth there, and I have a negative x to the fourth there. If I combine those, I get 0.7x to the fourth. I have a negative 2.7x cubed there, and I don't have any more x cubed, so that'll be minus 2.7x cubed. I have a 6.7x there, and a 7.2x squared there. Not x squared, I'm sorry. Let me erase this. I just jumped to x. Completely skipped the x squared. Sorry. Okay, I have a 7.2x squared there. I don't have another x squared in there, so I'm going to put plus 7.2x squared. Now I'm going down again and see what other less degree I have, and I have this one, the 6.7x, and I have a negative 4.5x. When I combine those, I get positive 2.2x. So I'm left with 0.7x to the fourth minus 2.7x cubed plus 7.2x squared plus 2.2x. Okay, number 18. Now this is one of those where you can do a squared. Now this one's going to be minus 2ab plus b squared. Now if you don't do it this way, remember you can rewrite it. 8x minus 3, 8x minus 3, and do the distribution to the parentheses. If you do this format, this is your a, this is your b. So you take 8x and square it, because that's your a, minus 2 times your a, which is 8x, times your b, which is 3, plus your b squared, and your b is 3, square that. 8x squared gives us 64x squared. That's 8 times 8, and then x squared. Remember, you have to do it to everything. Now we got 2 times 8x times 3. That gives us negative 48x. And then 3 times 3 is 9. And I'm sorry, that was section 4.5. Okay, number 19. This is section 4.2. Remember, you distribute this negative 3 to each one. So that becomes 4 to the negative 3. A to the negative 6. And remember, B to the 0, anything to the 0 is 1. Okay? Put that over. C to the negative 15. Don't forget to distribute this negative 3 to the bottom also. Alright, so now from there, this 4 to the negative 3 is going to the bottom and become 4 cubed. This a to the negative 6 is going to go to the bottom and become a to the 6. And c to the negative 15 is going to go to the top and become c to the 15. Okay, now I'm going to do c to the 15 on top. I'm going to work out this 4. 4 times 4 times 4, 64. And then a to the 6. Number 20, this is 4.1. All we're doing is just multiplying. 2 thirds times 1/5, multiply across. That gives us 2 over 15. A times a squared gives us a cubed. Remember, you add the exponents. And b cubed times b squared. Add the exponents. That's b to the 5th. Remember, you add the exponents. It's only when it's outside the parentheses that you multiply. And number 21, this is section 4.5. Okay, now this one is difference is squares. So you multiply these two, 3 times 3, that 3w times 3w, that gives us 9w squared. Then you have negative 14z times positive 14z, and that gives us negative 196z squared. Now remember, this can only be done when they're exactly the same, and one's a minus and one's a positive. So this would be your answer. Now right quick, you can also work it out the other way. Now when you work it out the other way, when you take this 3w and multiply it by 3w plus 14z, I'm sorry. And then you take this negative 14z and multiply it by 3w plus 14z. What's going to end up happening is, once you distribute, 9w squared, 14 times 3, I think that's 42. Yeah, so you get positive 42wz. Now when you distribute this negative 14z over, you get negative 42wz. And then negative 14z times positive 14z is negative 196z squared. Now if you notice, what happens is these two are positive 42wz, negative 42wz. When you add and subtract that, you get 0, which leaves you with your 9w squared minus 196z squared. So if you didn't remember how to do this, if you didn't notice it, that's okay, because you can still work it out the normal way and you'll get your answer. Okay, 22. This comes from section 4.4. I'm going to take this first one and distribute it to the parentheses. 3xy squared times 3x squared y. Take the second term, minus 5xy. Minus 5xy, distribute it to the parentheses. 3x squared y. And then the third term, negative 2. And distribute it to the parentheses, 3x squared y. Okay, from there I'm going to take this and distribute it. So 3 times 3 is 9. I have an x and an x squared, that's x cubed. Y squared and y, that's y cubed. Minus, I have 5 times 3, which is 15. X times x squared, that's x cubed. Y times y is y squared. Then I have negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. X squared y. And that's it. We can't simplify it any further than that because none of these are identical. Okay, so number 23. Oops, let me move over. That's 9x cubed y cubed minus 15x cubed y squared minus 6x squared y. Number 23 comes from section 4.4. Okay, these are not the same, so we have to work it out. We're going to do 1/2 this first, 1/2 x, this first term, and multiply it by the parentheses. 1/2 x minus 1/4. Take the second term, positive 1/3, and multiply it by the parentheses. 1/2 x minus 1/4. Okay, now remember, when you multiply, you get to multiply across. So 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, x times x, x squared. And we still have to multiply this 1/2 x to the negative 1/4. So 1 times 1 is, 1 times negative 1 is 1, 2 times 4 is 8, and I still have an x. Now I'm going to distribute the 1/3 to each one. So 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6x. Then 1/3 times 1/4, 1/3 times negative 1/4 is negative 1/12. Now I'm going to combine like terms. I got a negative 1/8 and a positive 1/6. So I'm going to go over here to the side. Negative 1/8 positive 1, 6. Common denominator here would be 24, so I'm going to multiply this bottom by 3, top by 3. This one top by 4, bottom by 4. So I can get 24 at the bottom. So 3 times 1, that's negative 3 because I have that negative sign. 3 times 8, 24. Plus 1 times 4, 4. 6 times 4, 24. Now if I add 3 24 plus 4 over 24, I end up with 1 over 24. So I come back over here, I rewrite the first one, 1/4 x squared, because there's no other like terms. I combine these like terms, which I did over here, and I ended up with positive 1 over 24x. Then I still have the minus 1 over 12. That's 23. Okay, number 24 comes from section 4.4. Same thing. I'm going to take this 7a, distribute it to the parentheses. 2a plus 3b. Second term, negative 6b, multiplied by the parentheses. 2a plus 3b. I'm going to distribute it. 7a times 2a, 14a squared. 7a times 3b, positive 21ab, negative 6b times 2a, negative 12ab, because you got a b and an a, negative 6b times positive 3b, negative 18b squared. Combine like terms, that's these two in the middle. So I'm going to write the first one, 14a squared. 21 and negative 12 gives us positive 9ab, and I still have a negative 18b squared. And finally, number 25, which comes from section 4.3. This is not multiplication. This is just addition and subtraction of these binomials. So I'm going to rewrite it, 7x minus 2 minus, that's going to be minus 4x, minus 5. Now this is that negative, it distributes, minus 2x plus 3, because a negative and a negative makes a positive. Remember, that's like a negative 1 there. I'm going to combine like terms. We have a 7x, a negative 4x, and a negative 2x. That gives us x. And then I have a negative 2, a negative 5, and a positive 3, and that gives us negative 4, x minus 4. And that completes this lesson.